So what was it like? What was a normal day like for you guys? I mean, was your dad always on the road? Did he always take the family with him? You said the production company, but was it a 9 to 5 type thing for your dad? Or was when he was home, or when he was away?
That's a very good question. Dad traveled a lot. He was always selling. My father was a heavy duty performer before I was born. They did a weekly television show. Heck, that's all you do in your life is getting ready for the show, shoot it, and get ready for the next one. And then in the summertime, they would go out and do fair dates to try and make enough money to pay for doing the next season or pay for the previous season. And uh, the one, so it's a very interesting question, but it has a long answer. The Magic Line of Alakazam was self-produced by my father. The first 2 years were sponsored by Kellogg's, but then the cereal that was the sponsor of the show, the Kellogg's product that was the lead item that was the sponsor for the show, was canceled. The product was canceled, and hence everything tied to the product ended, including Alakazam, the money for Alakazam. Then immediately, Dad had to go out and find other sponsors to promote the show. And he was able to keep the show alive for another 3 years. It's amazing. And he moved the show from CBS to ABC. It never went off the air in that transition. It was on CBS one Saturday, and the next Saturday it was on ABC. So they worked really hard. Yeah, you all know, because you do so many shows, how difficult that is. And raising, they just had one son at the time. So unlike David Copperfield or Doug Henning, who had major sponsors that paid for everything, they made $5,000 an episode. The union costs for the studio were over $5,000. And then you've got to buy the magic, and you've got to pay the salary to all the performers, and you have to pay residuals and all that. So it was a very expensive project to produce and create the Magic Line of Alakazam. They lost a lot of money. Yeah.
Wow. 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 Wow.
You never think
so
that.
No.
Yeah.
So when I came along, that was from 1960 to 64. I was born in 65. That transition from 64 to 65, Dad had the show at the New York World's Fair that he produced called The Hall of Magic. And the Hall of Magic, he did not personally appear in, except for some rare occasions. He created it, and he did the voiceover hosting the whole show, but there were other actors and magicians that played the part of the magician that did the however many shows they did every day. Yeah,
that's a good way of doing it, especially at a county fair. It's a grind, man.
Yeah, well, because he did all those.
Yeah, go ahead.
He did all those fair dates at the Texas State Fair, and then all over the New York State Fair. So many of them. So when I was born, he had figured out this formula to produce shows that other people performed in, and he could still have his name on it and still make money from it. So they started doing amusement park shows, and they had other things called, another company called Magical Attractions, which were magic themed devices that appeared in trade shows. Like the Robot Girl. Most of them were sci-fi themed. So there was the Robot Girl, the hand machine, the super amazing hand machine, the Man from Mars, Cinillusion was a film interactive thing. They were big productions and small productions, and they would go in and work the trade show. And as a matter of fact, he had offices in Chicago, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. And he had tractor trailers, semis with the show contents traveling all over the country all the time. And then he had another show called the Gray Bar Tour, which starred Alan Wakeling, was the lead magician in that. And that was one where they had a motorhome that towed a trailer, and the trailer was custom made so that the illusions didn't have to go into crates. They could just wheel into the trailer and plug into their padded storage space to move to the next city.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what we've started doing. Instead of building those illusions every place and unpacking those crates. We just roll them on, roll them off. It saves so much time.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
get beat
yeah.
up, but it's worth it.
So as I grew up, Dad had a production company, and they were producing all these kinds of attractions. And when Dad moved out of that office that was around from mid 60s until 70-ish, 72, that became John Gaughan's shop, because John Gaughan worked for my dad for all those years from Dallas on. And then finally, when Magical Attractions went away, when Dad changed his mind and wanted to do something else, he gave that shop to John and moved all the Magic Illusions into the house. So everything came out of the warehouses and into the backyard and under the front patio, and in the whole office contents were throughout the house. So I had a childhood of climbing on and off magic crates and getting in trouble riding my tricycle around them.
Wow. Wow.
Sounds familiar, having illusions crammed in your house.
Yeah, our old house, you have to walk sideways to get to the laundry. It was pretty bad. I was buying magic, but we had no room for it. But when you get a deal on a product that's a $10,000 illusion, you can get it for $1,500. I'm buying it. Well, where are you gonna put it? On top of the other one, right there. That's all.
That's right. Yeah, sure.
I got to. She's over here nodding.
Yep.
She gets it.
Yeah.
So then in about the mid 70s, the Magic Circus shows were sold to Pillsbury. He'd been working with Pillsbury on other projects prior to that, with Keebler, which is a Pillsbury product, the Keebler Elves, and Funny Face, which was a drink mix at the time. And then came finally the final big product was the Magic Circus television specials. And they were the first full color Magic television specials. And that's what I got to appear on as a little kid.
Now, I know the Kellogg's, I know the Keebler Elves, I know Pillsbury. I don't know the Fizz. And I did not know that your dad had that connection with John Gaughan. John Gaughan's one of the most amazing builders. You showed me a desk last night, the one that you're at now, and said, John Gaughan built that. What? But now it makes sense. John Gaughan was right there with you guys. Pretty awesome. Wow.
My mother would take him to high school. And not when she was going to high school, but when he was going to high school. And then she'd pick him up and bring him back to the house or to the apartment, and he would help put magic kits together as a kid, and he'd go help build props for the local show at the grocery store, at the 7-Eleven, and then or the mall, wherever. And then he started to get a little bit involved with the prop building. Then he came, as soon as he finished high school, he came to LA to work as a runner, a gopher delivery person on Magic Line of Alakazam, and discovered how much he enjoyed building. Most all of the Magic Illusions were being built by Carl Owen of Owen's Magic, because he was still around then. So John got to learn from Carl Owen himself. Thayer was gone, but Owens was around. And John went to design university, furniture and architectural design, got his degree in that. And many of the things that he made during that time at college, I have here that he gave to Dad. Some of the little pieces that were art projects for school. It's kind of fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Check us out online at wesiseli.com and patreon.com/Wes_Iseli for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.